All right, good morning. It is Wednesday, March 17th, 2021. My name is Jared. Welcome to Engineering the Markets. Let's get started. Starting off with our SPY. So, clear daily uptrend. Yesterday, we did have a little bit of a pullback in the overall markets. And this was seen intraday was sort of what some people would call a rounded reversal sort of day, where the push to the upside was met with sort of a fade to the downside for the rest of the session. And then we basically caught our footing into the end of the session yesterday. We're still well above the recent all-time highs, and we are sitting right around that support zone on the daily. So the previous couple days worth of price action, we want to basically gauge whether this range is enough support for the market to continue higher and come to our more aggressive bullish targets of 400 and the top of the channel, or due to the fact that we did V-bottom and therefore there wasn't a ton of bullish volume into this retracement, will the market need to pull back further, find deeper support, and then ultimately choose a better sort of gauge of direction? 180-day 4-hour, you can see pre-market we're getting a little bit of a drawdown in pre-market, and that is being met with a similar drawdown in some of our other index products, which we'll get to in just a moment. We're still looking as to whether or not these range highs can act as support. And, you know, looking at the pre-market action, we did clear what was the previous all-time high. So that is not a great look for just finding support here. But we do have this failed breakout attempt that could also act as a support zone. And from there, if we were to start losing this area, we would start falling away from the price action of the past couple of days. And that would not be a good short-term look for a bullish setup. It would obviously start to lose the 20 on the 4-hour, and we would need to pull back much deeper to find any sort of support. This coincides with the knowledge that we have where value over the past 30 days is still sitting at 390. So as we move away from value, we need markets to make the value zones rise with them in order to essentially move what is considered fair price higher and higher. And so far, we have not accomplished that in this perspective. So a pullback to 390 is still plausible, and it would still represent just a return to value. So let's see. Looking at our 4-hour, head and shoulder on the 4-hour, I would say I don't really see it yet. We've seen mostly just higher highs and higher lows. If this were to form a head and shoulder structure, our neckline would be somewhere down here. And this would be our shoulder, head, and the head would have to come all the way down to test this before we could even consider it head and shoulder related. But at the moment, I'm not really seeing it. And if it is forming, we're definitely in the early phases of a reversal pattern. So on the 1-hour, we looked at the volume profile, and then just intraday short-term value. Let's look at our volume profile. You can see here that we do have a concerning look that market participants have not really been creating too many shelves of support from the value perspective. So 390 is probably one of the most major ones that we keep calling out. We do have some value sitting around 393 to 394. And then we have this notable gap area. And if the market were to lose this, we would expect the retest of 390 to be more probabilistically likely, because we are lacking value in this zone right here. So we want to see if this is going to hold, given that the market is pulling down at the moment. This is sort of our first area to come and test. And that would coincide with this structure here, which we have marked. And then we also have our 390 zone roughly, which is a previous range high from our daily chart. So as we see the SPY pulling down this morning, one of the first things I want to see is the technology sector responsible? Because we know technology is still the area that needs to prove the most to us from the perspective of a bullish thesis. What we saw yesterday was a gap up. We had a pretty strong morning session, and then I would say we got pretty close, but we ran fairly well into a resistance zone where we had multiple candles either closing or opening at this zone. I'm gonna just draw this down so it touches those candles a little bit better. We did come very close to that area, and it looks as if currently we are rejecting that area. So from the range perspective, we went from 310 to 311 all the way up to 324 to 325. This is a normal range progression where you go from low to high. We know that this is resistance, and the pull down from this area was expected. The thing that needs to occur now is whether or not bulls are going to simply bring us all the way back down to the lows. That would once again be 310, 311. And I don't know if I said bulls or bears. Bears. Are bears going to bring us all the way back down? Or will bulls find higher support? Will they essentially capture this area, which was 3 days worth of decent price action, find a higher support zone, and then break us out of this range? Either or could occur. When you're in a range, it can be very challenging to find longer directionality. But right now, the onus is still on the bulls to break this resistance zone, because it is a significant one, and it would represent, in the case of pattern-based trading, the head and shoulder structure that we'd want to confirm. Now, testing this for the first time, we could easily come all the way back down to actually form the right shoulder and then revert back up to break out. So the fact that we haven't tested this area on the first push means that the shoulder really hasn't formed yet. We're just seeing the beginning parts of the shoulder. So from the pattern perspective, that's what the Qs would like to see. If not, then we will likely see a breakdown of this range. Any issues of concern on the 4-hour? We did have a notable rejection of the 200 on the 4-hour. This has been an area of general resistance in the past where we've had multiple rejections from this point. And that coincided fairly well with 325, which is our price level. So overall, I think from just a general perspective, we are seeing things reoccur in this market where we know where resistance is, and we know this dynamic moving average is also a little bit of a resistance zone. The onus is on the bears to get through it. Now, we do have the 20 and the 50 moving higher in this perspective. And what we're seeing is that there's a tightening range if you are looking at areas of support off of the 50 and areas of resistance off of the 200. So can these moving averages get closer, essentially compress this range? And from there, can we get a breakout? That is yet to be seen. We are seeing the early stages of what could potentially be a wedge, some sort of range compression or even just a tightening of price levels. We have 310 and 325. We could easily find smaller price levels to work off of and get better risk to reward if we see a breakout. From the volume profile perspective, on the 30-day time frame, value still sits slightly below us. It was sitting at about 311 to 313. We're seeing 315 be our VPOC at this point. Being that we're in the range and we're coming into value, fairly common occurrence. You move away from value, you target the range high. The next move could be back to VPOC, and the test from above could lead to, once again, that breakout perspective. But what's good about this is that we are seeing value slowly creep its way higher. It's no longer sitting back down at this low of 310, 311, and we've seen that in past sessions. If the bulls can hold VPOC over the next couple days, get us another retest of what is now a inflection point, which is the high from yesterday, that could lead to, once again, the range compression into a breakout. It's all the same basic thesis, but we want to see if everything's lining up here. And I think in general, this range is really important. We just don't know which direction they want to go. And 10-day, 30-minute, the shorter time frame is showing value at 311. This would be our worst case scenario, where if you're a bull, you're going to see a drawdown from the range high to the range low, and that would bring you back to VPOC. The look of the charts right now, we really want to hold this zone where we saw a lot of consolidation 2 days ago, and then a loss of that zone easily could lead us to VPOC. So 315, a lot of consolidation, a lot of value. If we lose it, 310 is sort of our line in the sand. And if we get below 311, 310, it brings us back into a very volatile range that was challenging for bulls to reclaim. It took multiple days of very wide range price action for the bulls to reclaim, whereas this has been a little bit more steady. And finally, the IWM. The look on the daily, let me bring this back. Okay. Still in a daily uptrend. Did have a notable breakout. Didn't see a ton of bullish volume step in, so the likelihood for the pullback into a higher price level was a relative thing to expect. If we saw a very powerful breakout, we maybe would expect the all-time high to hold, but we are seeing a little bit of a drawdown, and they are currently sitting at the previous all-time high. We'll see if they need to draw down further. 4 hour, there is some relative weakness this morning, so I'm not surprised to see that this is pulling down a little bit further. We have this relative high around 228.50, 228.70, and then we did lose the 20 on the 4 hour. Honestly, we didn't really test it a bunch of times on the move up, so this was a fairly extended move where we stayed, mostly just in a straight line pathway, and the pull down could easily be a little bit deeper, given that we really didn't find a lot of pullbacks on the move higher. So this is this is our first decent pullback that we're seeing in this market since the low, I should say. Our downtrend line, our daily uptrend line, this would be a very notable pullback. 225, if we came back into this zone, I think this first pullback, if we saw market strength, this could easily be a buy for some sort of a bounce play. But really, given how strong this market was on the recovery, it would be even better to see higher support zones act as support. So we have this area and this area, which are just sitting somewhere around 227.50. Does the 1 hour value confirm that? Looks like about 226.2 for VPOC over the past 30 days. That coincides with this high. So a drawdown in the market could easily bring us back to VPOC. We are sitting at the range high, which is the first support zone that we want to consider. And we did see a little bit of a pocket of value, which I believe we also saw on shorter time frames. Yeah, so the unfortunate aspect about this market is it does put in a lot of these pockets, which means that you want to wait for the shelf to be hit to really see any sort of significant value act as support. I'm kind of looking still at 227.50. I think we mentioned that yesterday. This number's ringing a bell from yesterday. And given what I'm seeing on the volume profile, this is our first shelf that we really want to target. Notable thing here, though, is over the past 10 days, the most value that we place in this market has been above us, which means that market participants over the past 10 days throughout this rally and this trend that we saw occur, most of the price action and the volume was actually placed high, which is relatively bullish given that we can find support and get back above that zone. If we look back at the 1 hour, though, the drawdown to find that support and those market participants is going to be necessary. So I'm mostly just looking at 227.50 here, I think is the takeaway. There's a lot of mixed signals here now that we are seeing that pullback, and the pockets of value can make it hard to find the right support zone. Okay, so some notable things to keep an eye on today. We do have the FOMC meeting, so we will be talking about that during the pre-market prep. Obviously, that is going to help dictate some of the concern that we've been seeing with rising interest rates and whether or not the Fed is going to enact any sort of action as to whether they're going to maybe look into buying bonds. Are they going to help with some of the yield curve correction? Are they going to do any sort of twist program, which they've done in the past? All questions that we're kind of looking to see if they'll answer during this call, or at least give us some amount of, I guess, confirmation or confidence that they're going to be doing something to correct those rising interest rates. If not, then we kind of want to just stay the course, because the momentum is in the favor of the rising interest rate. And we have things like the 10-year, which is still seeing a lot of momentum to the upside as yields are rising. We're seeing, these are putting in about 1.6% yield. And you can see, excuse me, a little bit of a frog in my throat there. You can see things like bond prices have been falling off very heavily due to the fact that the yields have been rising. That'll be seen with things like TLH and TLT. 30-year as well, rising, I would say, just as fast. The difference in the performance of the 10-year and the 30-year is also something to keep an eye on. How wide is that spread, and whether or not there's any risk of concern for financials who like to have a particularly wide spread between short and long term. If we look at stuff like the dollar, we have seen the dollar put in, at the very least, a short-term attempt for a trend reversal, where we do have the higher low, higher high perspective, making a bounce, putting in the higher low, putting in the higher high. We're breaking out of 92 over the past 5 to 7 sessions, and we are holding right here, but you can see that we did pull down a bit, and we are forming what could be perceived as a bear flag to get back below this 92 area. Usually things like metals will like a weak dollar. So, you know, if this downtrend continues from the long-term perspective, we could see things like gold and silver kind of come back to life. Recently, they've either been flat or, in the case of gold, pulling back a little bit further than expected to a notable support zone, which we saw last week. I'll just look at the gold futures here. We saw that last week where it pulled down to this area, and we are getting a little bit of a follow through. There's still plenty of room for this to essentially make a lower high and continue this downtrend. But we did see this support zone at least confirm that it was something of interest. So let's see. So that's just a very brief review of some things that we want to keep an eye on. Yesterday, there was a lot of weakness in financials and energy, two of our big, strong sectors that we've been keeping an eye on. Brian had called out the fact that this was looking relatively toppy. And from the weekly perspective, we were running into a zone of known resistance. We had a major bounce point here back in, I guess this would be 2017. 2018. And then back over here, we also had this inflection point. So on this major rally, we could easily see a pullback from here. And then, you know, we'll need to see if there's any more catalysts to actually show the breakout of energy. And then financials, while we're in an all-time high breakout, a pullback is very likely at some point, and the pullback could easily be all the way down to where we broke out from, which was all the way back at 31.38. How this looks on the daily, though, is we did see a little bit of a drawdown over the past 2 to 3 sessions, as financials are a little bit overheated, I would say. So always things to keep an eye on. The SPY, I think, was supported fairly well yesterday with a rotation back into technology. And that was for the morning session. So we had, you know, pretty much all cylinders firing on SPY and QQQ yesterday in the morning. But as soon as QQQ hit its resistance point, we saw that drawdown, sort of that rounded reversal. And because financials and energy were not on our side to begin with, there really wasn't much left to hold up the SPY. And it looked as if a lot of things were starting to sell into the afternoon, and then, you know, we sort of baselined at that point. We're also seeing things like the VIX pretty much at the lowest point in the past year. We're down pretty much at 20. You know, 20 is a very clear line in the sand that the VIX likes to return to. I'm gonna just mark that for now, but one thing you can look at doing is whenever the VIXs collapse like this, if you're someone who likes to hedge by buying volatility or having volatility hedges, and you're looking for a hedge in the preparation of a binary event, you know, something that is either known or is coming up and could easily increase volatility, this is a relatively decent time to put on a hedge because volatility is low. You can, you know, buy your hedge pretty cheap. And then the hope is that if that binary event causes a lot of volatility expansion in the market, you get some downside protection along with just a decent trade out of the volatility hedge that you put on. I won't go into how to put on a hedge. There's probably like 5 or 6 different ways that I know how to do it. But if you're into options, you can look into that. If you are interested in just an ETF, there's a few that are decent for 1 to 2 day hedges. Main thing is just not to hold them for extended periods of time. Let's see. Trying to see if there's anything else on our radar today. Does look like the TNX is opening higher up here. So this is a concerning look for tech. We have essentially now an open much higher in our 10-year and our 30-year. So definitely keep an eye on this today. I don't know if the market is essentially prepping for this announcement, but we know that tech does not like these rising interest rates, and we haven't really seen a breakaway of the correlation quite yet. Tech still remains the burden of proof. Consumer discretionaries have been hit as well. Some names that maybe you want to keep on watch today, I think, are of interest. We have stocks like Tesla trying to put in a bull flag. So we have, this very simple pennant sort of structure up here off of the lows. And if you look at the pre-market activity, we are breaking down from this range. So this is a very rough area of interest. We are breaking down at the moment. Do not be surprised if we see a major drawdown, given that we're seeing higher interest rates currently. I'd also couple that with Amazon. If it were to lose things like Monday low, that would sort of reject this area, which is an area of confluence with the moving averages. So let's see some other areas of interest. We did see consumer discretionary start to really pick up some steam over the past couple of days. And when we look at what's in this ETF, we see things like Procter & Gamble, Coke, and Walmart, and Pepsi. So there may be some decent trade setups, given that it looks like this is starting to pick up some steam. That's also very similar to the look of XLU, which is breaking out of this daily downtrend line. We may see, a little bit of a pullback just to retest, but the look of this chart is relatively strong, and we have volume into the breakout. So not sure why utilities are so strong at the moment when markets are at all-time high. That typically is a little bit of a concern. But from just the perspective of utilities, this is a decent looking area of interest. And one that I noted recently was Walmart. We had a pretty nice breakout of this downtrend line. You can see that the moving averages are now firmly sitting below us. We had good volume on that ignition bar, and we're putting in a resting candle yesterday. So if you're looking for maybe a trade idea, this could be one of interest, especially if we start to break through the past 2 days sessions and get higher prices in this area. If I said Walmart, sorry, I meant McDonald's. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know why I said Walmart. I think I just had it on the brain from XLP. But anyway, that's pretty much my time. So I'm a little all over the board today, but there's a lot of things of interest today. Really, I'm pretty risk off at the moment in regards to the FOMC. This is going to give us more clarity as to market sentiment, economic sentiment, what the Fed is going to do about the bond market at the moment. And if they can give us clear direction, that could really open the floodgate for some trade ideas into this week, next week, and maybe just the next month overall. Sort of give the market a better baseline of what the actions are going to be. But for now, that's all I got. Obviously keep on guard with tech. We do still have rising interest rates. Be on the lookout if there's any weakness overall in this market. We're seeing it in pre-market. Will it continue? And then finally, just look for trade ideas both into today's intraday session and I would say after the FOMC meeting, just to get some better directionality. But with that said, that's my time. My name's Jared. This has been Engineering the Markets. We're going to take it away with Carlos and Norm with the rest of pre-market prep. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pre-Market Prep. I hope everyone had an amazing day yesterday. Hope you're having an amazing morning. Good morning, Noam. How are you doing today?
Doing well, buddy. Tired. We had some insane storms come through.
Oh, yeah?
I got a wind gust of 52 miles an hour at my house. They're framing a house. Well, my camera, it's losing it. Framing a house a block or so away that completely collapsed onto one of my friend's fences. The entire thing's toast. So,
Wow.
been up since about 3:30 and had that, and we clean up the mess in a little bit here.
Wow, man. Talk about an exciting start to your day.
Well,
Man.
and I'm done with my day already too. I mentioned
Yes.
that I traded plug. I was done trading. I'd still be in the thing right now, except I had to take my kid to school. So,
Yeah. Plug is...
put that up. So that was my morning, and I guess I can go back to bed for the day. I don't know.
Yes, plug was real nice this morning, guys. And it was yesterday as well. So was fuel. So we had such an amazing watch list yesterday. Let's get into it. Let's look at it. Starting with, we have plug right on here. Let's go back to yesterday's action on plug. It would have been right in here. Get our 5-minute kind of see the action yesterday. Here was plug, guys. Very clean towards the bottom. A beautiful drop here. Beautiful continuation. Beautiful pullback. Just everything was beautiful about plug yesterday. Glad we had this one on our list. I did not trade this one. I was focused on fuel cell and some other ones. But again, if you had this one on deck, guys, look how beautiful it is. Look at the reversal engulfing pattern. I think about Amen and Thor when I look at these type of trades here. Again, just an amazing reversal pattern there. Does wiggle a little bit around the VWAP and then continues up towards the high of the day. Again, just an amazing trade. And then look at this one here. You get a nice double top. And the volume is not too significant here, but I think if it wasn't for the volume, this could have been a great mountain pass reversal as well with Peter trade. So again, beautiful reversal there. Look at the drop down to the VWAP. Just the volume is not significant, right? For his strategy, you want to see that drop of volume. You're not really getting that there. It's later in the day. But again, a beautiful reversal. And then just look at the continuation, guys. 43.50, a level that we had here. I believe was that the low of the pre-market? No, that was off a daily. Look how great that level trades. 43.50 comes right to it at the open later in the day and then collapses down, trying to get to that 41.56 level. Does not quite get to it, but you definitely had a target on there for plug yesterday. Here's AMC. AMC not as clean. Did give you one drop here, and then from there just kind of popped around a little bit up and down, but not as clean as plug and some other ones that we had on deck. CAN was rough at the open, guys. The first 2 hours or even 3 hours were not clean. Then from there, it just starts leaking here. It just continues to drop, loses the VWAP, and then just tumbles down to 28 bucks down here. So again, beautiful drop on CN, but was not clean first thing in the open. Fuel cell was a little bit tough at the open, guys. But man, look at this double bottom it gives you right at the beginning here. This was my trade over here, and it just took off nicely, guys. Beautiful continuation, and it traded very well throughout the entire day, coming back to the moving averages, trying to get up and break the high of the day for the most part here, and then you get a nice little drop towards the end there. So again, beautiful trades on fuel cell yesterday. Nicely done there for a lot of our members. mRNA, nice great pop into the open, and then from there just kind of struggles a bit here. Bit of a consolidation. If you were patient on this one and waited for the high of day breakout, and right where the price action is at now, this 152.35. That's a good level right on here. I'm going to mark that down. The reason for that is that was your high, your second high of the day there, and you can see the struggles that it had at 152.35, and then from there eventually settles down and takes off. But look at the struggle. Every time it popped up above that, you have these wicks pushing it back down off this 152, 153 almost. Eventually does settle in nicely and is able to break out of that. Gives you a beautiful continuation. Not easy though, guys. I was watching the price action on this one. It was very whippy. It was not easy to hold on to a trade in here. You have to have a good entry and also give it enough room. Here was Apple. Apple was tough as well at the open, guys. Didn't give you a whole lot to go on like a plug, fuel cell, and some of these other companies did that were a lot cleaner. Later in the day, does get a little bit better, but it was not an easy trade out of the gates here. Does drop down nicely here, losing the VWAP, comes back and retested the VWAP and the moving averages right in this area. Cannot get above that. It's usually a great signal for a continuation towards the bottom. And look at the drop here again towards the low of the day here, nicely on Apple. So Hayden is telling us Starbucks was good too. Let's look at Starbucks. So yeah, that's a great example. We talked about this pre-market action, Norman. You brought it up. Starbucks doesn't get great volume in the pre-market, and look how clean this was. So you gotta be able to put the pre-market aside on some of the stocks that we know, like Starbucks and other ones that again just don't put in a great pre-market action but can trade very well. And this here, guys, is very clean for Starbucks. This is an amazing day. You're not gonna get a day like fuel cell or plug on it, but this is a very clean day here. Nice ABCD patterns of off the moving averages. All right, guys, that is what we had. Let's take a look at our quick recap at our market pulse. I know Jared has gone through a lot of that this morning, which is amazing. We learned so much from him on the overall market. But quick recap, what do we have going on for today and the rest of the week?
Well, I'm not going to get too much into it because we just had Jared give a great explanation of what was going on overall and how we've bounced the last few days after the sell-off. So I don't pay too much attention days like this. Down 1.1% on the Qs, a little less than 1/3% on SPY. The big thing is that FOMC policy announcement, and nobody expects them to make any changes in what their actions, what they're doing, asset purchases or Fed funds rate or anything like that. But it is 100% people's focus is going to be on the statement, how it's worded, if there's any changes, what those changes are. If there is any indication, I think, and this, I think if there's any indication that they're worried about inflation, or they might, they've said they're not even going to thinking about raising rates or anything, for a long time. They're okay with inflation running hot. Any indication that they change or they're, wavering on what they think about that, then I think we could be in for some nastiness. So, these days, just keep an eye on it, because especially with something with this big expectations, you'll get moves at the open that might be okay. And then I find it dies off very fast, and nobody wants to really do any positioning as we get to that 2:00 time, and then also Jay Powell talking at 2:30. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Will definitely be that's going to be a huge topic for us, especially as we watch the markets throughout the day here. All right, let's take a look, guys, at what we have this morning. Let's move this up a little bit there. Our gapping up list is incredibly. Let me make sure this is correct. Time frame is live. Okay, yeah, that is correct. And let's make sure this one is good too. Live as well. With trade ideas, by the way, you can come in here, you can right click, and if you want to look at the history, you can, your historical data, and there you can look at a previous one, a gap list from previous days. So pretty cool to have that. So yeah, this is correct. Only 3 tickers this morning on our gapping up list. We have not seen it so small like this in a very, very long time. IMTX leading the way here, 32 million shares flow at the moment. Pre-market action is not looking great. Yes, we do have 1.1 million shares traded, but look how these candles are being formed again. I don't like the way this is moving here. It looks like it gets better after 8 a.m. as we're getting obviously more volume, so that's looking a lot cleaner. The daily obviously is out of whack on this one, so again, I definitely do not like the way the daily is. They do not get a volume at all on this thing, under 500,000 on the daily. Today, obviously, the pre-market is looking pretty interesting. Definitely worth taking a look at. I don't think it's going to be something I'll keep on my main list. And I'm just going to put it down here as a very weak possible for now. IMTX. GTBP, this one this morning, we are 300,000 shares traded, up 6.7. Pre-market action not looking good at all, and the daily is looking even worse. So we'll skip on this one for now. Here's crowd, CRWD. This one is down, up 2.4, 128,000 shares traded. We have looked at this one in the past, guys. It can trade very well. It's also one that the spread can be very large at times, even for a stock that sits at $200. So just be careful on it. Again, I don't like the way it trades personally, so I'm not going to put it on my list. But again, if you do put it on yours, it is up 2.4 now. I just don't like this one at all, the way it trades. GameStop up 2.1 this morning. Was red about 2 or 4%. Now we're up at 2.3 here and cranking with some volume. So it might be interesting to watch that one. GameStop, put it on there, 239, up 2.6 this morning. Daily does look interesting as well there. All right, let's tackle this gapping down list. We have a lot on deck here. CHFS, there's a 2.7 million shares flow. This is down 21% this morning, 170,000 shares traded. So the volume is just not there. I do love this drop of 21%. That's always great. We do have shares for sure. So that could create some movement and volatility today, but just the volume, it's too low for the type of flow.
It's on a secondary. I wouldn't even.
Yeah,
it's on a secondary 2.7 million shares, as you said, with hardly any volume. You could get just crushed on that.
Yeah, you don't want to be touching this guy. So we'll stay away from that. Let's look at Plug. I think Plug is just amazing today. It was amazing yesterday. Definitely in play, guys. Look at this drop, 15.2. Now, Norm, anything going on aside from...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what's happening?
So they came out and said that they have to restate financial statements from 2018 to current, I believe. So that is never a good thing. They say they did specify there wasn't fraud involved. There were some accounting errors, I guess. So when that happens, it is not good. A lot of times when that does happen, it is fraud or something of that nature. So it's not surprising to see that massive drop.
This is interesting for sure.
And just one word on this, if you're new around, if you haven't traded Plug, be very careful. It moves like crazy.
Absolutely, guys. Again, great volume today, guys. 7.9, great catalyst that's making this thing move quite a bit here. Definitely on our list today. Here's Reggie. Now, is this affecting other ones like what's the other company that moves with this one?
SL.
Yeah, is that affecting that at all, or no? So it's completely separate there. So if Fuel Cell is doing FCell doing its own thing there. All right, so Plug's definitely in play, guys. REGI, this one is down 12.3. The volume is just not there at the moment. I do like the drop here. The volume on the daily, though, very, very light, under 2 million for the most part. I'm going to skip on down for now. SKLXLZ. This one, 376,000 pre-market actions. You got a nice little drop here and a pop, but then here's just getting a little bit weird. Also, their daily's not great. Maybe a possible. We'll put it as a possible for now.
Just
We'll come back
on
to
that
it.
one, just a heads up, it trades pretty thin. It
Oh yeah,
it jumps around a lot. It can be spready. Great swing trade stock if you find a good setup on it or something of that nature. I don't know that I would be looking to day trade that, and it's on a secondary as well.
Got it. All right, so I'll take that one off because all those things are not great, and I don't think I ever looked at that one. So thank you for that info on how that one trades. Ruby, this one not looking good, guys. Down 10%, but their pre-market action is really not great. Their daily also is not looking good neither. They got a couple of pops here, which are nice. Again, without going into too many details on how I actually traded, for the most part, do not like this activity now. It is a 33 million shares flow, so it's not a low flow stock, but you can tell here on this, the way the prices are, that this thing can move. This candle here, almost $1, 28 up to 28.90. So that's a lot of movement there with just 144,000 shares traded. You're not getting a lot of volume, and we need to have nice clean volume, guys. We need a tight spread here. That it's a 15 cents now. That's just not enough. It can get better at the pre-market, but just not a lot of good stuff going for that one. Here's LIZI. This is 10.4 at the moment. 673,000 shares traded. Pre-market action looks pretty active right now. Could be a good low flow for today. We'll put it on here for the low flow team, LIZI. FTCV, this one is 5.3. 585,000 shares traded, down 9.2 this morning. It's okay. For a low flow stock, it's okay. No, I want to see something cleaner. I think LIZI looks a little bit better as far as action. We'll keep FTCV off for now. Here we have FTFT. We've seen this one plenty of times in the past. Does not trade very well. I think there was only one time that we took a trade on this, and it was very clean. Aside from that, I stay away from it, so I'm going to do the same today. Here's Kodak. All right, what do we have going on with Kodak? Okay, not much. I was expecting something a little more exciting. They are down 7.8, 183,000 shares traded. Pre-market is basically non-existent here, even with that volume. Again, just not looking good there. OCG, what do we have here? Also, pre-market action is not great. Their daily is not looking good neither. Had a nice pop a couple of days ago. The fun could be over. This thing just could be getting back to reality here. PDD. This one's got an active pre-market action. They're not the best type trading stock, I'll tell you that. But this pre-market action, down 7% after being green early in this morning, and 2.2 million. This is good. This is very nice. Again, you just got to be careful with this one because it can move quite a bit. $1.50 candles is not anything strange to this ticker. So just be mindful of that this morning. But very active today, good volume. We'll keep an eye on that one. SPCK, what do we have here? This one is down 6.5, 109,000 shares traded. I'm not sure on this one. I'm not sure. Possible. We'll see if it gets better. SPCK. Okay. Good. All right, let's stop here, guys. We have a bunch in our gapping down list. We'll stop there. Just going to scroll down, see do we have anything that looks good that we've been looking at. TLRY has been interesting. Today they're down 5.5. I don't see anything explosive happening here just yet. Fubo is another one that we looked at quite a bit in the past as well. They're down 5.1, 200,000 shares traded. Their daily's nice though. We lost this area of support here at 32. Maybe a good possible. We'll come back to that one. Norm, what do you like this morning? I know Plug is obviously on top of our list today. Looks amazing so far. Hopefully that continues into the market open. Anything else that you like? I know you're done for the day, so probably going to be difficult to find something you like at this point.
There's good stuff out there. Nothing. I'm not seeing anything yet. I'll throw it out if I see anything else that.
I think Norm froze. Yes, he did. And it could be with the storms he has going on down there. So we'll give him a couple of minutes to come back. With that said, guys, let's jump right into our chat room. Guys, what do you have this morning? Let's start with Miles. D Miles, you have AREC. ARC, what do we have here? So AREC, this one is definitely taking off right now. Up 21.4, 1.2 million shares traded. Now, is this a SPAC? We had a nice pop a couple of weeks ago here back in February. Today they look like to be getting a very active. The float on this, let's take a look here. AREC. Here we have a 21, so slightly above a low flow stock, so not bad. Looking very good, very active this morning, guys. We'll definitely keep an eye on that one. That looks good. Let's hop on down here. HD, Home Depot. What's going on with HD? HD looking real nice. Wow, I'm actually in on a swing trade on HD, but then my brother called out. He sent me a text on this one, and we're in from like 258, which is amazing. So that looks really good, guys. Nice pop this morning, but again, for a day trade, HD is brutal. It doesn't trade very well. Very extended on the daily, no volume right now. So I wouldn't be watching this one personally. And also, I'm in a swing trade on it, so I won't be touching it. But man, this thing, what a run! Beautiful run there. All right, let's head on down. What do we have? NRG. Peter, good morning.
Good morning, Carlos.
Hey.
I just thought I'd jump in. Norm lost power, like you said. He had some storms, which
wow.
out, so we're jumping into the breach.
Yep, that does suck, man. Hopefully, he is not too long. What a winter Norm has had in his area, and many of you guys as well. If you're down in Texas in that area too. NRG, guys, it is down 11.1 this morning. Pre-market action not so interesting. The daily's a little bit out of whack, very light on the volume, so I don't like that there. I do love this drop. I'm gonna add it as a possible. If it gets volume, right, we need volume. 84 is not going to cut it. If it gets volume, even with a bad daily like this one with such a big drop, we can get something out of it. But man, it is it's not looking too good right now. Also, the spread is concerning on this one. Not the spread, excuse me. The size of these candles are concerning, so you got to be very careful on that one. All right, what else do we have, guys? NEO, let's take a look at that one. NEO this morning, great volume, 2.1. I like NEO. Anytime there's above 2 million shares traded, you could be in for a good day. This is down 4.1. Beautiful daily, guys. Look at the drop we're getting down here. Got a bounce a couple of days ago, and now opportunity to head back down after struggling to get above 46 on the daily, right? Bigger picture. Pre-market action looks amazing. I love NEO today. That's looking very good. Edwin always gives us two. Let's see his second one, CCIV, which I'm sure many of you will probably call out as well. Yeah, this looks very good. A couple of great trades. I know Ugo, Master Chief, sent me a nice trade yesterday that he took on this one. CCIV looking very good, very active. Yeah, I like that one, 1.4 million. Heading on down, Home Depot. Okay, yeah, we looked at that one. I just don't like it for a day trade, guys. WFC, what do we have here? WFC right now is up slightly, almost 1%, 132. They just don't move all that much as far as day trades. But again, they've been pretty strong the last couple of weeks here. TLRY, this one, yeah, we looked at this one earlier. This got some movement. I think it's worth watching. Maybe not a main one right now, but a good possible this morning. We'll throw that on there. AREC we do have down here, so they announced building a plant for batteries. Yeah, they're definitely rocking this morning, up 27%. Yeah, that's looking very good today. Yep, NEO is good. APHA. APHA, what do we have here? So is anything going on with the pot sector at all? This one is down 4%. TLRY is also down 5.2, which is nice. I think TLRY looks a little bit better though. I think they have, obviously have a better volume. Their pre-market pretty much similar, but I like TLRY this morning. So is there something going on there? We'll move it up to our main list.
If you look at the pot sector over the last few days, it's been moving up and down quite a bit. TLRY was up almost 20% a few days ago, down again. So yeah, I think it's just we're seeing a lot of uncertainties of what's going to happen, right? With potential federal regulation in the U.S. and then international news on opportunities. People get excited, and then it looks like they get quick profits. So I don't. This is a tough one. I found that I was watching TLRY, but it could be tough to trade.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easier stock. It's easier than it was before, that's for sure. But yeah, still not the cleanest type of trading stock. JP Morgan, again, the banks are slightly up today. Their daily all look very similar. They had a nice run since the beginning of the year. They're just kind of consolidating. So I'm not sure if there's anything that I like on them right now. Maybe later down the line throughout the day they get a little bit better, especially with all the market news coming out. We'll have to wait on those there to see if it gets. I agree with you, David, from Connecticut. We have to see if it gets. I like WFC on the daily as well. I think they trade a little bit cleaner than most banking stocks, but yeah, we'll have to wait for some volume there. All right, heading on down, we have Plug is on deck. That is looking good, guys. Beautiful pre-market action, great volume. PLTR this morning, they are active. I feel like PLTR is active almost every single day. They got great volume, 1.7 down, 4.1. Let's add it on here. Let's see how today is going to be. Just got to be very, very patient. You know, it's okay to take A setups from your trade book. It's okay to do that. And you should do that because not everything's going to look like a setup. But on this stock specifically, it's got to be very close to that A setup because there's so many type of fake outs. It doesn't trade very well. It can be very choppy. So if you see something that if it doesn't hit your 5, 6, whatever criteria you have on this one, that you would normally skip on a regular stock, don't skip it on this one because it's just too choppy. Too many fake outs and the drops could be big at times. NIO is good. Tesla looking weak today. Let's take a look how Tesla is this morning. Yeah, it's a lot looking a little on the weaker side, as you can see here. Gappers list. It's a lot sitting at that 3.1, 4.1 this morning on the downside. Tesla no different. But again, we have NIO. We have some other ones here that are looking pretty good. I like NIO this morning. Their pre-market action looking very nice so far. CCIV we do have on deck. That is good. Let's take a look at the airlines. American Airlines today. What do we have there? So I like American Airlines here because of this gap they have at the moment. So if they want to head on down, that's a nice drop that we can take advantage of. So I'm going to add American Airlines. Let's take a look at United, another one that's moved up quite a bit in the last couple of days. They're also down 1.6, but American Airlines has a little bit more volume. Going to go with them today. And let's take a look at CCL. Yeah, not as exciting as the airlines because the airlines have a nice big gap here that they have not closed yet, like American Airlines. So I like this right here. I love this daily. This can give it a nice run. Everyone's going to be looking at this 2350 as a possible target. So hopefully that can that can allow us to run down if that is the play for today. All right, let's check a few on YouTube. But before we do that, Peter, anything you like on your end?
One I've been watching for a few days is AMC. I know it's one of the meme stocks. There's an interesting push and pull. Like GME, basically, the big money's just given up. All right, you want me to be $200? Fine, it's $200. Go ahead, go crazy. AMC, it looks like they're still fighting because the news keeps coming out that the warnings that it's overvalued at this price. And that warning to investors that they should be careful at these valuations, and yet the price keeps jumping up and down $2, which on a $10, $12 stock is pretty significant moves. So it's got moves, but I haven't found a readable pattern yet. So I'm just keeping an eye on it. We'll see if anything comes of it again this morning. Good volume, like we got 1.6 million shares almost pre-market already. So that's one, and of course, I've always got my eye on AMD.
Of course.
It's not doing anything special, but I find that it still consistently moves during the market, and I can play it against the overall market sentiment. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do really like AMC a lot. We actually had a nice trade. It was a couple of days ago on AMC. It traded very clean, very, very clean, even though it's a stock that you got to be careful with because, like you mentioned, all the manipulations and things like that. But, man, it had an amazing day. So yeah, AMC looks good today, guys. Great volume, 1.6, and this one's looking very nice this morning. All right, let's take a look over at our YouTube chat. So what do we have here, guys? Let's start with TLGT. We'll start with the boss. This is the username there. Oh no, this is no good because it's a penny stock, right? Sitting at 89 cents, so that doesn't trade well for us. FTCV, we did look at. Did we add this to the list? We did not. Yeah, we looked at this one. Low flow stock, I believe. We're sitting at what was this? Let's go back here, 5.3. So the volume is just not there. That could change later down the line, guys. But again, these lower flow stocks, 5.3, 10 million, 6 million, 2218. We want to see amazing volume. 635 is great for any other stock. It's a mid flow stock, not for this one. You want to see some good volume. It looks like we had that yesterday. Let's take a look yesterday here. Yep, nice trading day yesterday. Look at the breakouts here that you're getting with some good volume, guys. 1.6 there on the 5 minutes. So that's great. It needs that today. So it definitely needs that. Pre-market is not showing us that right now. That could change as we get closer to the market open. DKNG. Let's take a look here. DKNG. What do we have? 163,000, but their pre-market is okay. It's not great. I think we have some other ones that are looking a little bit better. And again, DKNG lately, after getting above I don't know, it was $55 or something. It has been difficult to trade. So just be careful with that one. At least for me personally, it's been very whippy. The pullbacks are aggressive. And so I really stopped looking at it. There's some days here that it looked really good, but no one confirmed that it didn't trade well, right? So if you look at the chart, it looked very good, it looks nice, but he said he looked at the price action and it was very difficult to get in a trade that's pulling back a dollar, right? If you guys remember that. So careful with that one. Let's look at PLTR. Yes, PLTR. I saw some comments there. We do have that one deck. And yes, it is messy, guys. I mean, it's messy at the open. It can be very clean at times. It gets the volume. It gets beautiful flow of price action and everything. But again, it could be very choppy at times. So you just gotta know when to trade it, when not to trade. Again, if it's just wait for absolutely A setups at all times. If it's not an A setup, then you want to skip on that one. Huge. Are you saying huge? Huge? Or are you saying huge? This the ticker. You're saying the ticker. This is up 36.7, 17 million shares flow at the moment. Interesting for sure. Let's check the flow. It doesn't look like it's a low flow stock the way it's moving with that type of volume. And it is 14.9. Could be interesting. Let's put it on.
Yeah,
there.
it looks like this huge. They had some FDA approval for a veterinary drug, which is what is driving the increase.
Yeah. Well, what I don't like about this type of price action now is that you got the one pop and they're just kind of selling down. So you got to be patient and wait for a good breakout. Usually when you get this news, you start seeing something like AREC. This is what I like here. See, this tells me the news is not baked in or anything. It's happening right now. Whatever's going on with this one here is brand new, is fresh, and you're getting this amazing volume. This is what you want to see. On these lower flow stocks, when you kind of see this dead action, yes, you have 17 million shares traded, but it's not trading well though. For the way I would like to see a low flow stock. Now that could change later down the line. Same thing with LIZI. See, this is not trading very good. 700,000. I like low flows to look like this one right here. AREC. This is nice, right? You get a nice pullback, get a little pattern. Practice great risk management. We spoke about that yesterday. I already had an amazing presentation. The recording should be up today. And that looks good for me. But these other ones here, they're just they're not cutting it really. All right, what else do we have, guys? We'll do a few more and then we'll stop here, go over to our community events. CCY, let's take a look there. No volume, no activity, sitting on the American Stock Exchange, but this doesn't look good at all. Very weird daily, so just be careful on that one. Heading on down, BYFC. BYFC, no, pre-market action is all over the place. Daily's not great neither, and you just don't have great volume on the daily neither, so we'll skip on that one. Last one, OLN. This one is no good. Let's see if we can find another one. Let's look at CAN. CAN, very active yesterday. Very, very nice yesterday. This morning, their daily does look interesting, though, I got to say. I think worth watching at least one of these Bitcoin type plays. We'll look at CAN. You can also watch Mavis, probably looking good on the daily as well. Yep, it is. Raya is looking probably decent as well. But CAN, what I like about it, they usually have inventory for short. It's a short selling restriction, but they do have inventory for short, and they move very well. So just got to be careful, guys. This can move quite a bit. So just got to be mindful of your shares as always. But I do like the daily on here, especially for a drop. We got some nice room to take a dive here down over to 25.41. All right, let's stop here, guys. Let's go over to our announcements. We'll come back and chop up this list.
All right. Well, I guess that's to me. So good morning again, everybody, and welcome. Last night, we had Artie's very first webinar where he talked about the ABCs of risk control. He did it from the perspective, he's the risk manager for Peak Capital Trading, which is Andrew's proprietary trading firm. And he did a fantastic job and gave some great food for thought, both from an analytical and mathematical perspective, as well as from a psychological and tactical approach. So wasn't a long presentation, so it's an easy watch. If you're a member, go into our webinars and you can find that. We've got a lot of thought leadership that's coming out, and next week I'm looking forward to having Eamon, who's going to talk to us about specifically partialing. So how do you know when to partial, and how do you know when to get out of a trade? So that'll be next Tuesday, the 23rd of March. And remember, when Eamon presents, it's an early time. So that one's at 5 o'clock rather than 8 o'clock usual time. I'll mention something about thought leadership here just very quickly, too. Andrew produced, as he sends out a regular weekly newsletter, and in it he talked about Warren Buffett's sort of note to shareholders. And if you think it might be strange for day traders, Warren Buffett is always worth paying attention to. And there's sort of salient thoughts in there that we can take advantage of here, both day trading and swing trading, which we have Brian who does swing trading reviews, and it's part of what we do here at Bear Bull Traders, if I could say it. But it's just incidental that I ran across an interview from 1962 with Warren Buffett. And I'm going to post the link here in the room and in YouTube, just because it's only a minute and 50 long. It wasn't what Warren Buffett said in 1962 that struck me, but it was the nature of the questions from the reporter, where they're the exact same questions we would ask today, 60 years later. So it shows that, you know what, you should take advantage of the best minds no matter when they were trading, because we're trying to figure out the exact same stuff now as we were 60 years ago. And if you've ever read Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, as we were trying to figure out 120 years ago. So, what comes around goes around, and you'd think we'd have learned it by now, but we're still grappling with the same issues. So food for thought there. All right, in other activity, we also have a series of psychology webinars. So if you want to work on your mindset, which is always relevant, next week tonight we have a mindfulness webinar with Nada. Nada's talking about your success and how it does not define you. And that's important because sometimes our success or failures on an individual daily basis, we can let deeply affect our psychology. So she's going to talk about how you can manage that. That's at 8 o'clock this evening, again, in our webinar room. And then next week, we are doing a town hall with Dr. Katz. Town hall means we're going to have a couple of our traders who are going to be live with him, answering questions, providing their perspective. And Brian Pez has agreed to step up and be one of those individuals. So I think Mike's going to be on there with him as well. So that should be a great town hall where we get their perspectives on the market. And that is next Wednesday, March the 24th. Now, speaking of Brian, one of the things that we have this week, special in the room, we got some special guests starting this afternoon. Very excited because on the microphone with Thor on vacation for some family items, we got people taking over, and that's going to include our very own ladies of the chat room that are going to be taking over Thor's spot between 1 and 2 o'clock today and between 1 and 2 o'clock tomorrow. So that should be fantastic. They will own the airways as well they should, and hope you guys provide a lot of positive feedback, because we've been eager to have them on the mic and providing their perspective. So make sure you send your support both in email and in the chat for that. We want to encourage them to come on the microphone even more so that we can hear their perspectives more often. So that's today and tomorrow. And then tomorrow night, Thor's Day is going to go on, which is a session we do with all of our members, just answering questions and providing feedback. But Andrew and Brian are going to take over. So it shows you how much influence Thor has, that it's going to take both Andrew and Brian to be able to cover that spot. So that'll be next Thursday night. All right, as always, we encourage you to submit your member trade of the day. If you want to do that, you can do it by putting it in Twitter. Just put it in Twitter, use the hashtags listed here, and then tag at Bear Bull Traders, at Mike B_BBT, and at Norm BBT. They pick what we believe is the best trade of the day, and we've had so many fantastic submissions. It's hard to pick, so don't be disheartened if you submitted and you haven't been picked. It's just there's a ton of good trades out there, but keep doing it. It shows everybody with the great traders that we have in the room, and they seem to be getting better every single day. We announce the winner at the end of the day, every day in the room, as I do the close with Brian and Mike leads that. And then we do the member trade of the week, selected from the winners from the trade of the day, which we publicize on Mondays. If you want to join us, guys, and you're listening on YouTube right now, we'd love to have you, more than just for the pre-market, which I know is fantastic, but all day we talk about trading, tips and tricks, if I can say it. We do live trading in the room. I'll tell you up front, we are not an alert service, right? We're not going to tell you what to trade, but we will tell you what we see in the markets, what's happening. We get members ask questions. What about this stock? What do you see here? Peter, is this setting up this type of pattern? I love it when we get those types of questions because it gives us a chance to interact and talk, and we do that all day. If you want to join and see how it works, use the code PREMARKET24 for just a $24 one-time membership. It gives you a week access to the chat room and our onboarding class. See what it's all about. We're convinced you'll love it and you'll want to join. And when you do, you can use the code LUCK40 because it is St. Paddy's Day today. So happy St. Patrick's Day to all of our Irish traders out there and all of our Irish wannabes, which is pretty much every one of us on this day. So you get 40% off for our annual elite membership using the code LUCK40.
Thank you, Peter. I'm laughing on that Irish wannabes. Absolutely, I'm all in for that. All right, guys.
We all want to be Irish on St. Paddy's Day.
Oh, absolutely, and we want to be Mexican on Cinco de Mayo. Whatever holidays involves any type of drinking, we are in. Absolutely. All right, guys, let's get into character like Andrew will say. Let's jump in here. What do we have as far as our watch list? We have Plug. Plug is looking good here. I like what I'm seeing there. Very, very active. Down 12.7 still after coming back quite a bit. This thing hit down at 33 and now at 37. So the movements here are big, guys. Be very, very careful. But that looks very good. PDD looking interesting, guys. I like this drop here. Finding a little bit of a base, so we'll keep that on here. AREC, very active. 6.3 million right now. Again, looking very good there. Got some positive news. NEO's looking good as well, guys. Like the pre-market action. Love the daily on NEO as well. Look at this beautiful drop that we're getting here after consolidating for 4 days between 44 and 46. We'll keep that one on here. CCIV also looking okay. Looking okay there. PLTR and AMC. So we got to make some decisions here. Let's make a little bit of room. I think PDD I'm going to move down. And the reason for that is because I know this stock can be difficult to trade. So we'll move that one down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 here. AMC is good. And then PLTR I know could be difficult, but I want to keep an eye on that one. Just got, again, you got to look for that ace setup when it comes to that one. All right, I think we have a great watch list. Let's take a look at our possibles list, see what we can remove from here. IMTX is very active. GameStop, again, I don't know why I put it here, and I always end up taking it off anyway. STPK, this still doesn't look great. Let's get rid of that one. Fubo, you know, I like the daily and the drop here. Pre-market is okay, not great. We'll have to wait for that one to hit the scanners. NRG, no, this is not good. I'm excited about the drop here and a possible continuation, but looking at it closely, the daily's horrible. Every candle overlapping the previous candle, and you're getting some pretty big moves here from 41 to 43 with very light volumes. 4 million shares traded. That's not going to be good for the way we trade. TLRY looks interesting. I like that one. American Airlines looks good, guys. I love the daily there. Hopefully it doesn't get too extended towards the downside. If we are going to run, that at 23.48 looks very good. CAN is decent, and PDD we move down for the moment. All right, very good. Let's start with Plug, guys. Wow, this is going to close this gap before we even start the market open. It's not going to give us a chance to trade it here. 32.6688 to be exact is the low of the pre-market, so we'll throw that on there. And I'm not going to mark down the pre-market high, but the daily's in a the price action is in a very interesting spot off the daily. 37.51, guys, great level. I'm going to mark that on there. Look at the area of support. You definitely want to have that on there. It's blowing right by that right now at the moment anyway, but you do want to have that on there in case we do come back and test some of that price action. Towards the top, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, but we also have this great level here, guys. Couple of days opening and closing right around this 39.49. So you can put that on there. That's a good one. And then you have your rest of your levels above that. So looking pretty good there on Plug, coming back nicely after that bounce. Wow, 32.89, 80 there. AREC, so this one's moving very well, very active. We're getting a little bit of action here on 570. Looks like we might want to break that, but already tested it a couple of times. So I'm going to put it on here. Even if it breaks through that, we can put in a new pre-market high. This is also playing nice with this not so great daily, right? This is not a great daily chart. But again, it is I believe it is a SPAC, right? It's just got some news on it. So you're going to have some nasty daily charts until things settle down a little bit here. So 569, great level there. Above that, again, not a great daily, but I do see an area here of a lot of support around 627. And then you have a little bit of a range. This thing just kept banging its head back and forth here between 627 and 689. So I'm going to mark that there also. And obviously all the way up here, 647. And then all the way up here at $8. So again, plenty of levels towards the top. Let's see if this thing has the power to get going this morning. Towards the bottom, we do have great levels here, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. In between here, we do have, we have a slight couple of touches here around 525. There is some couple of days opening and closing right at that price target. You don't have a lot of wicks bouncing off of that, but you do have some action as far as previous day close, right? So anything that was opening and closing around that time is going to have, it was eventually a previous day close line, so that could have some activity there. And we're seeing some action on that this morning as well, acting as a little bit of support between these two levels. Let's see which way it does want to break out. Getting a little bit of rejection here on that 570 at the moment. But again, this stock's still very strong, up 30%. Here is NEO, nice bounce off 3184 right on there. Oh, sorry, that's the daily. Excuse me. That's the daily. Here's the bounce of 4150. There we go. So 4150. That's still a great daily level there. 3184. I don't think we'll get down there today. So let's look for something a little bit higher, closer to the price action. You do have this one here, 3763. Bouncing off of that on the wick there. A couple of days opening and closing right around that area. And then below that, you do have this one here, 3488. So plenty of levels towards the bottom here. Right now, there's 4151. Great area of support, guys. Look how many times we have bounced from this level. If we were to lose that, hopefully we can get a nice run down to that 37.63. Right now, down 4.1 towards the top. Plenty of action, highs and lows in the last 2 trading days. You're looking pretty good there, and the volume is looking nice on NEO today. CCIV, this one, we got an interesting daily, right? Just been kind of moving sideways here a little bit, but within this sideways action, I believe yesterday we had an amazing day on this one. I did not trade this one, but I saw a lot of members, and Master Chief, as I mentioned earlier, had an amazing trade on this one out at the open. 2850 is your low of your pre-market towards the top. This thing was sitting all the way up at 3070, so 3068 to be exact is the high of the pre-market. And then you got a better pre-market action after 7 a.m. this morning. You're getting more volume, so that's looking a lot better. Even after 8 a.m., you're starting to see better candles being built here. So this is looking very nice so far this morning. So as far as the daily bigger picture, we're kind of stuck within this highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. We'll have to see how this one plays out today. But again, it can trade very nice, even within that tight range. PLTR is just this is our love and hate, and it can do so well. And at the same time, it could just be the worst trading stock ever. 2440 is the low of the pre-market, which is a great area of support, guys. Right on here, you see plenty of touches on there, plenty of days hitting that with their wick and also bouncing off of that, so that's good. Towards the bottom, another great level here over at 2335. Let's throw that on there. Could be a little bit lower too, right? It's an area. It could be 2319. That's where the wicks are actually bouncing off of. But a little bit higher, you got the days actually opening and closing around that area. We'll keep it at 2319, but just understand that these are an area when it comes to levels. All the way down here, guys, at 2024, obviously a clear level there. And then you also have this one here at 2237, just in case. Towards the top, your cover highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, previous day close. Let's see how PLTR trades today. Here's AMC, guys. So AMC right now pretty much flat at the moment. It was down nice this earlier today, now coming back a little bit into the green. And if you look at the action, bigger picture on the daily, you're right in the middle of the highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. So very interesting stuff there. Just again, flirting with that previous day close line. I don't think you need to add any more levels. I'm not even going to add the high of the pre-market at this point. I think these levels are going to be important. That's the way they are. Now, if we were to break out of that towards the top, we do have clearly 1705. We have another one here at 1596, and then towards the bottom, just in case we do, very clean one here at 999, probably $10 to be exact, and then right over here at 1130. But again, I think the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days is what you really need right now. We're right in the middle of that area there when it comes to our level. So, all right, pretty good there, guys. I think we got a decent watch list. Let's take a look at our moderators lineup and see what do we have this morning. Peter, we will start with you. What does your watch list look like today?
Well, I've got some of my old standards on there. My watch list is the bottom with AMD and NEO, which we all, love NEO these days, but we'll see what happens. Plug, I'm loving Plug. In fact, I was feeling so much FOMO. I'm in a little trade now. I got in right after I did the announcement, so I needed to move up, or it could come back and stop me out. It seems like we're all playing it. Brian, I saw, took a trade on it as well. So, Brian, nice. I need you to buy some shares, buddy, to push it back up for me. And then on my secondary, I've got AMC that I mentioned, Apple, TLRY, and CCL.
All right, excellent.
Going up to the top, maybe just while I'm here, then we got 3 IPOs, really 2, OLO and SNCY. SNCY is actually a regional airline out of Minneapolis. So we'll see what it does. I think they're trying to take advantage of the reopening, sort of positive, emotion, I guess, sentiment, and we'll see if that has any play. It's not a huge IPO, but I'll announce it when it opens. And then JWEL is a SPAC, although it has like a normal stock name. So they're starting to try and confuse us by not having the 5-digit code with a U at the end, right, for these SPACs. So you got to keep your eye open for those.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, down the line, guys, we have Dima. She's watching Plug, Fuel Cell, MU, and the Qs. We have Eamon watching CLSK, ACB, RISE, secondary list, BABA, WFC, and BAC. Again, all the banking stocks doing very well as far as the bigger picture. Their daily also very nice as well. Not liking much so far. CLSK is his favorite. All right, Brian is looking at Stoll Dima's list, looks like. And he's watching Plug, Fuel Cell, MU, ADHS, American Airlines, and ARAC. Peter went through his list already. Mike is watching mRNA, Facebook, NBA, and Tiffany's looking at Plug, PDD, CCIV, NEO, and Tesla this morning. So, all right, guys, we got a pretty nice list. Looking forward to today's action. Thank you so much over on YouTube for joining us today. Thank you, Peter, for hopping on pretty quickly there and covering for Norm. Hopefully, Norm is not down too long with power. That could be frustrating. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Trade safe and have a good one.
Take care, everybody, and good luck to Tiffany and Dima on the mic this afternoon. Looking forward to it.
Same here.